2023 was an all-timer year. The good games were delightfully good, the bad games were just bad. I feel like video games as a whole are doing their best and worst work simultaneously. Studio layoffs were not even mentioned at the Game Awards, and Legends got their acceptance speeches cut for Gonzo. So for all the love I'm about to throw on this year for the games themselves, and I will, the industry needs to start cutting executives before they cut the people who make the magic. Also, John Riccatello in particular can get his ruins smote upon the mountainside. Honorable mentions, I mean, we could be here all day, but in rough order of how much I enjoyed them, and as concise as I can, because ain't that the brand, Gravity Circuit really was 2D Doom, man. You can do a pile driver on robots, so it's a perfect game. The multi-medium flew under a lot of radars, but it shouldn't have, the various art designs and mediums coming together to form a delightful little adventure. Dredge had inventory management that I, a weirdo, enjoyed, and an underrated OST. Sonic Superstars was double the price of Sonic Mania for half the fun, but that half of fun was still nice. It's my second favorite Sonic game this year. Mario RPG was my first time with turn-based Mario, and first introduction to Geno, who is my favorite guy now. A lot of remasters this year, but as someone who never played Metroid Prime, man, this game is a blast. Do you get it? Lunacid, I gotta get further in. That early crypt is one of my fondest gaming memories I've made this year. Cocoon had some of my favorite audio design this year, from how you walk on surfaces to the OST to the... Yeah, to that. Very glad it beat out Dave the Diver, which I do like for Best Indie Debut, but don't worry, Peppino's on his way, everyone. Death Unfazed was a delightful surprise. Sometimes a good mechanic and a good soundtrack just carries a game, and 2/9/North Spire made a speedrunner out of somebody who took a year to beat Celeste. Well done. And speaking of, it may as well be number 11, because the aforementioned Celeste, a game I played for the first time this year, was important to me. It honestly got me teary-eyed at times. It's never too late to look at who you are and decide to be better, more true to yourself, to try something really hard. And man, I love the music and the jumps, it's just so fun. But before the top 10, every game that is on screen in this little section is a game that was probably good that I did not play, but I will when I have the time. Which kind of goes to show how amazing this year really was, and also, no one can play all the games. Also, explicitly, I did not play Alan Wake 2. I'm sorry, everybody, I was busy. I hear the musical bit is great, it was cool at the Game Awards, okay, let's go. Alright, it's time for the big boys. A late entry, but a welcome one. Lethal Company is the most fun I've had with my friends in a multiplayer game this year.
Can this thing hold?
And this is coming from a stone giant tier dwarf, you understand. My Peppino cosplay even got a 9 out of 10 from SNES, so you know I'm a DRG legend, you understand. But Lethal Company is a different beast. You got the top tier voice proximity implementation, you got the consistent updates, and more importantly, you got the fun with friends.
The traffic police. Your performance has been deemed below standard.
Oh my god, you idiot! What?
My short on this blew up. Jory even thanked me for the review, Grubsoft best devs, but without all that buzz, it was the game itself that's really stuck with me since playing it. I loved the whole circuit breaker puzzle. Those cinematic shots have really stayed with me. A nostalgic survival horror puzzle game is right, but emphasis on and credit to creating nostalgia I can feel for characters I do not know. Homebody is great. I feel for Emily. This was one hell of a follow-up to Dream Daddy. Here's a bold statement. Years from now, the common consensus will be that Mario Wonder did for 2D Mario what Odyssey did for 3D Mario. That is to say, raised the bar to such a degree all future installments will almost immediately be compared to them. It feels like Nintendo is just doing weird, fun stuff with Mario again, and that is the right call. To be honest, yes, this Singin' Piranha Plant section sealed the deal for me, although I also loved the Koopa skating level, and I hated this level. Sega does what Nintendo don't, and I'm not kidding. I enjoyed this game more than Sonic Superstars. This game that was a April Fool's freeware game made by the Sonic Social team, yes, more than Sonic Superstars. Does it actually belong though as an honorable mention? Yeah, but if I did that, I wouldn't have had the time to thank by name producer Michael Shafir, designer Greg Batha, programmer Katie Trzowski, artists Ellen Alsop and Minho Kim, writer Ian Muchler, and composers Troop Gamage and Joel Corlitz. Take a bow. Y'all made a free game that me, as a person who has never played a 3D Sonic game, and probably never will, nevertheless, like these characters and this IP, this is witchcraft. I passed, despite my lack of innate musical talent, college music theory in high school, so I know just enough of music theory to really appreciate just how cool HiFi Rush is. The way the background syncs to what you're doing, the characters are likable, the designs are peak, and the jams made for the game and licensed are all fantastic, amazing sound design. Just the best time. In fact, the only game that impressed me more this year with its sound design was hey, Pikmin 4 is number 4, that's cool. Pikmin is great. I'm in the Church of Pikmin now. We know this. High Priest Arlo gives a good sermon. It's a good time. More Pikmin. More Pikmin. Where that DLC at, though? More Pikmin. Y'all ready to get funky? Pizza Tower is grease and fun and good and okay, let's cut to the cheese. It's the indie game of the year. We know this, but what else do we know? That Tour de Pizza updates this game consistently, spent years fine-tuning it, and if they make another game, I'm ordering it with extra mushroom no matter what. Because no game this year have I gone back to just play for 15 minutes when I needed to relax more than Pizza Tower. Gustavo is my brochacho. I love this game. The animation, the bosses, the everything about it is just plain fun. With pepperoni and black olives, ooh yeah. Tears of the Kingdom in any other year is my game of the year. Before this year, Breath of the Wild was my second favorite game of all time. It was magic. I needed to play Breath of the Wild when I did. Tears was not that. It was just fun. Playing it a few days after release, I remember devouring the Great Sky Island section, just taking my time, loving every corner of the game, understanding every mechanic at my own pace. And that Kogera fight, such a fun boss fight. Is the main plot narrative as much of a home run as the awesome abilities and score and almost everything else? No. Zelda can and should improve from here, but it is good. And Pen is better than Cass, I'm just gonna say it. I look forward to your hate mail. Zapow! Soar long! Those moments of rediscovery, taking full and complete advantage of this Hyrule being reused, it's not just different, it's better. How do you make a game of the year, Breath of the Wild, look like a beta test in comparison? Tears of the Kingdom did that. When the Tears main theme played during the Game Awards, I cried, straight up. It's a beautiful piece of music from a beautiful game that I love. What could be better? Balder's Gate 1 was among the first games I ever played. Balder's Gate 2 was, up until this year, my forever favorite video game. The idea of carrying a character from game to game was magic to me. Those games are wonderful. Balder's Gate 3, to me, was too good to be true. Larian put it out in early access, and it seemed great, but I held off. I wanted to experience it all from the get-go when it was all done, and part of me is glad I did it that way, but another part of me wishes I could have supported Larian sooner. Because Baldur's Gate 3 is my game of the year, and with a little more time, I expect it will be my favorite game of all time. It's not just that it does what Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 did, i.e. transfer the tabletop D&D experience as closely as is seemingly possible into a single-player computer game. It's not just that it's a cultural touchstone, uniting people who love and play D&D. It's not just a really fun game and funny game that I always want to jump back into no matter how frustrating a fight. It's all the little and big things Larian, the people behind the game, have done to make it better long after release. The patch updates and bug fixes, yes, but the added epilogues, listening to the community, the collaborations with creators, the voice cast being treated rightfully as superstars in their own right, long live Bing Bong. There is so much to this game and the story of this game that I love. It raised the bar by just treating the consumer entirely fairly and going above what they had to do and did what they wanted to do. For all of that, thank you, Larian. When I was a kid and I was playing Balder's Gate 2, I always imagined, man, what could a big studio do with Balder's Gate 3? The potential there. The actual result has exceeded my wildest hopes and dreams. Video games can be magical. But if Eric Baroni drops the Stardew Scarf update before the new year, that is actually the game of the year. You understand? We have a Super Mario Brothers 2 situation on our hands.